And welcome back, folks. Another edition of the Michigan Insider Breakdown focused on the defense. And no film for this because this is a preview. We're previewing Michigan's playoff matchup, their semifinal matchup with the University of Georgia, a team that they haven't often faced in a place that they've never been, which is the playoffs. That's where Michigan is now after a Big Ten championship performance, winning performance, beating Ohio State, and then beating Iowa in the Big Ten championship game. Been doing it all season with my man. I call him the Keith Sweat of the Mountains, Vance Bedford. Vance, how you doing? Welcome back. Hope you're having a happy holiday.
Man, I'm doing fantastic. Merry Christmas to all you Wolverines out there. But I promised just to give to them game one, if you remember. I told them what's going to happen this entire season. So Merry Christmas to you all. You all should send me a gift because I call this. I was like Santa Claus and Jesus. I gave you a super present. I'm not mad at nobody here, Sam. I'm just being honest.
Hey, man, you've been giving them gifts all year. You was going to give them some of that special mountain blend that you was going to send to them. You know, been giving them some Sweet Baby Ray's recipes, all kind of stuff you've been giving them.
You can't beat it, man. And I tell you what, during Christmas time, they grow a different kind of blend up here right now is what I'm finding out. So I keep saying, send me a prescription. I can hook up some of those people in the stands and get them going.
Well, you know, what else you've been doing is you've been educating us. A friend of mine that wore number 29, he said, you know, Vance has a way of taking his brain and putting it in your brain. And that's what you've been doing with the fans all year, what you've been doing with me and the fans all year long. And you did it with a special guest here on this edition of the Michigan Insider Breakdown focused on the defense. Marcus Ray, Ray 29, my guy, my man, not just All-American, big-time safety at Michigan, NFL pro, but author, ESPN analyst, you know, but author as well. Isn't that right, Marcus?
Yeah, Sam, I appreciate the kind words, man. You know, Coach, good to see you. So,
you too.
Yeah, man, I can't say I was as optimistic as Coach was on the season, man, but each week I just became a believer and I kept my mouth shut and I kept watching. And I'm really happy for the program and the kids and the patience Michigan gave Coach Harbaugh and that staff to figure it out. And Sam, always good to see you, man. You're looking good. You done lost some weight.
Lost 50. Hey, man, I'm like it. Hey, man, we look like different people.
I know.
I'm like, Marcus, man, Marcus getting back down to playing weight. I got to do something like that. So, yeah, I'm down 50, Marcus, and trying to get down another 20, 25 and be ready to go, man. You know, you got to make those changes, kind of like Harbaugh did with that defense, Vance. And let's recap, because Mike McDonald comes in as the guy who had, you know, worked on some great defenses with Baltimore, but hadn't called a defense. And he was going to have to call this defense with a new staff. And not just call the defense with a new staff, but with a lot of question marks on that defense, a lot of unproven factors on that defense, Vance. He had to infuse some confidence in them as well. And you've been raving about the job he's done all season long.
When I looked at Mike, he reminds me a little bit of Jim Herman. People go back, Jim Herman's first year truly calling the defense was 97. Because Greg Madison was there 95, 96. And we changed it. We became more aggressive on defense, how we attack people. But I don't watch how Mike called the game. It reminds me of that 97 defense. It was aggressive, it's pressure, different looks up front, different looks in the secondary. You had a defensive front, you turned them loose. So I was excited when I saw game one. I said they could clean up the mistakes. And the kids going to get better, which I said after game one, which they did. I was overly impressed. And then on offense, they ran the football as something that, you know, Lloyd Carr did back then. Protect the defense, play great special teams, great defense. Get to the fourth quarter, let the D take over, look out. And that's what happened this season.
Yeah. See, Marcus, as I hear Vance talk about that, you know, Jim Herman had a lot of proven commodities. I mean, you guys had made a lot of mistakes. You know, you didn't put together great seasons. But Charles Woodson, you were heading into his junior year. You had gotten some music on wax, so to speak. You had some big time players out there that just had to all come together and had to have a good plan. Mike didn't have that. I mean, you had an Aiden Hutchinson, but Aiden hadn't done yet what he did this year. To bring that all together was really impressive, not just from a coaching perspective, but from a player perspective as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like when when I look at our 95 and our 96 teams, I thought those teams were talented. We were young, though. We got a lot of redshirt freshmen. I mean, Vance trusted me enough to start as a redshirt freshman, and then had Charles out there. And then, so, we took our lumps, and Greg wasn't as aggressive as we probably could have been in those years. And we didn't protect our offense, and then they turned the ball over. You look at 96 between Purdue and Penn State, we turned it over 10 times and still had a chance to win both games. So we were knocking on the door, and we did have those guys. So the difference between us and this team is we did have those proven commodities. But when I watched this team, when they were unproven, they were becoming proven and grew up as the season went on, and they had 100% buy-in, and it looked like they didn't get too exotic. And, I was the one person that was extremely hard on Don Brown when he had success. I was saying that ain't going to work if y'all trying to go to that next level, and everybody thought I was mad and hating. I said, no, you can't. If Vance Bedford would have put me one-on-one with Napoleon Kaufman, then we would have lost too. You just can't do that to certain guys. Or put Sam Sword against Tavian Banks. Like, I would have, Vance gave me the liberty to check out of that. Check 3. I'm not about to do that, and we're going to lose. But I think what Mike has done is I think he listened to his staff, and that's what Jim Herman did too. Jim got a lot of credit, but when you talk about Brady Hoke, Vance Bedford, in your ear game planning and really doing it as a team effort, everybody wins. And Lloyd always said, when you win, there's enough for everybody. And I think that's what this team is experiencing.
Yeah, and certainly it helps, though. It helps when Vance can look out there and have an All-American Marcus Ray. Hey, Marcus, handle that. Or Charles, handle all that, right? Well, Mike McDonald can look down to Aiden Hutchinson and say, hey, man, go handle that. And every single game, fellas, and this was one of the things that I thought was so special about that defensive year in 97. I mean, you had guys at every single game were big time. And you can say that about Aiden Hutchinson, Marcus. Every single game this year, he impacted the game. That to me, you got some guys that are great, a game here, a game there. He was great every game.
Well, and I think when you have a special defense, what happens is it starts with at least one guy, a superstar, and that's who Aiden was. I think, a lot of teams play collective defense and they play within the system, but what Aiden did is he took games over. He elevated his role, and that's what Charles did. Charles was, to me, the best player in college football that year. I think he's the best defensive college football player ever, with the exception of a couple arguments here or there, but Aiden Hutchinson, to me, was the best player in the country this year, and he put the team on his back. And what that does is when you're unselfish and you make the guys around you better. Charles made me better. He made Andre better. We made Charles better. But when the coaching came in, Vance and those guys figured out who needed to be where. People don't understand. Charles played 50% of his snaps at nickelback almost that year. Vance was probably the first one to put that bigger guy at nickel, that hybrid Viper type guy 25 years ago. So to understand how all the pieces work too, and how they complement your best player is part of coaching. But then when those guys play together, then you get the results, and that's what Aiden did. Like, not only did he create double and triple teams and beat one-on-one people, he made those linebackers elevate to his level. We didn't want to just see Charles Woodson get all the interceptions. I mean, at one point, 97, we were tied for first place, sitting in the same room. We had 5 apiece. And then Charles said, I'm not going to let you lead this team in interceptions. And I said, I never knew we was competing, you sucker. But with those great defenses, I think they have to have that one guy who's the best in the country or the best at what he does, and he'll elevate everybody else's game, and then it becomes contagious.
So, Vance, another thing that I thought was special about this defense this year, yeah, you had a great player, David Ojabo emerged on the other side, but this is another thing that was great, because every week you would point out something. You say, Sam, they got to fix this. They got to fix that. This opponent is going to hit this, Sam, if they don't mess with it. And without fail, Vance, I mean, I hope you played some lottery this year, brother. I hope you did. Hey, Marcus, he said if Aiden gets 3 sacks against Ohio State, Michigan going to win that game. He got 3 sacks against Ohio State. I mean, all year long you were doing that, Vance. So if you could take us back to the beginning, what were some of the holes that you saw, just to refresh the memory of the people? And then, also bring up to speed the people who are just joining, and some of the holes that you saw and some of the holes that they started plugging as the season went on.
And the biggest concern in the first ball game, I think Marcus alluded to this, it was a young team with a new defense and a new defensive staff. So Early in the year, I saw issues with formations, motions, bunches, trades, formations to the boundary. They didn't know how to adjust. They made a lot of mistakes. The run fits were off because anytime somebody traded the safety and the linebacker, they never communicated. So a couple of times we got hit with big plays. And we started fixing those things after open data. Remember that open data said we need to work on unbalanced formations and formations to the boundary where they throwing the football. And you saw those things improve. You saw guys communicating better. The game that kind of got us was the Michigan State game. Our run fits were not very good. I said the linebacker didn't know where the safety was. And I said also we should do what? Twist the front. If you notice, the very next week, what did they start doing? Twisting the front to eliminate gaps because people started scheming us. And so each week I saw those improvements, things we talked about. I saw players communicating. Early in the year, I said, I don't know if we can rush the passer without blitzing. Aiden came along, Ojabo came along. I said, the next thing is, I don't know if we can cover. And as the season progressed, we go to a Ohio State game, we started playing press man, which I was really concerned about. And it made tough throws for the quarterback, which about time for Ojabo and Aiden to get to the quarterback. So each week I saw adjustments and I saw guys get better. I was concerned about Dax. People saying, watch Dax. So I kept watching Dax. I was concerned about who he was. And he got better and better, made guys around him better. Now I'm going to jump ahead to this ball game. All the issues that we saw this year, bunch formations, trade formations, motions, guess what Georgia's doing almost every snap? That's what they're doing. We really never corrected the bunch formations playing man-to-man, walking up and press. A guy on point has beaten us for 3 touchdowns this year. Well, guess what we got to get ready for? Bunch formations. And if we don't know what number 19 is in this ball game, I hate to say it, man, we're going to be in trouble. He's a tight end, but he's not. He's a receiver playing tight end. And I watched 4 games that you sent me. 19 is a baller now. He can run. They throw screens to him, wheel routes to him. He goes vertical. And if we don't stop him, it's going to be a long day at the office, guys.
Yeah, he's talking about Brock Bowers. Yeah, he's the real deal. Like you said, he's not your average tight end, Vance. I wonder if they're going to affect him. You might remember in the Washington game, they had a big time tight end. And man, they got in the second half, Vance. You remember, they started having to leave that dude in to help on Aiden. It's like, hey, our tackles are getting destroyed up here. We need some help. And we might have to use our All-American tight end pass catcher to help do it. And he got dealt with too. Sometimes I feel like, for a guy like that, it's going to be a tough matchup. And you talked about the void in the middle of the field for the defense at the linebacker position. That's been a tough thing for Michigan this year, Vance. And I wonder if when you watch the film, that was one of the things that sort of concerned you heading into this game.
They're going to attack the middle of the field. This is a West Coast offense. Trade, shifts, motions. They run a route called dagger, where number 2 is vertical. The outside receiver runs a squaring route about 15 yards. They run that quite a bit. They run spacing. In other words, you have 4 guys. One goes directly over the ball, one on the hash, and one to the flat. They're going to work the linebackers over. And the next thing is when they get in bunch, get ready for vertical. So when you're a zone football team, which we play a lot of zone, they're going to work the linebacker over and the backside safety in quarters, which has been an issue all year. I don't know if Marcus Ray remember this. I got to go way, way back. We playing Ohio State. We playing, remember combo coverage, Marcus? So
yes,
we double 2 wideouts. It's Tommy Henderson and Marcus Ray in the ball game. The tight end's going down the middle of the field. So Marcus Ray got double on the other side. He comes over, looks at the quarterback, picks the interception off. Tommy Henderson mad because he picked off Tommy's ball. But again, those guys play with great vision. That's a concern for me in this ball game. We talked about this year also. The backside safety has not been aware of the quarterback read when they playing quarters coverage. He's been on late to break several times. If you late in this ball game on 4 vertical, they call it a touchdown. We cannot afford to get behind because Georgia, I think, is either first or second in the nation in total defense.
Marcus, that's been one of the evolutions of this team, of this defense. I don't know if they ran a single down a quarters coverage in Don Brown's here. I mean, I'm not exaggerating when I say that. I mean, he talked about quarters like it was a crime against humanity, like it was a concession to even do it. So I can, to Vance's point about how he's some of the the understanding, some of the the freelancing like you were able to do on that play because you understand the coverage. That has been a work in progress for this team because they didn't play it before, Marcus.
Yeah, right. And see, quarters coverage, I think you have to have the guys to execute it and truly understand it. And the one thing Vance used to preach to us was don't be a robot, be a football player. So I've always interpreted our combo coverage as the man version of quarters coverage in zone. It was like it was the same read. You read run first, and then you doubled outside. If that guy went outside, and you immediately went to number two, or you went to the quarterback. So I knew on the play Vance is talking about, I had the liberty. Also, I had Charles, but I got an outside release. So once I checked the run, cleared run, and saw Charles at an outside release, I knew a linebacker had a problem one-on-one with that, tight end running down the middle. And that's when I flashed back across. But Tommy on the backside had the, same exact read. And he was upset because I would beat Tommy to the punch every now and then. But I was to the two receiver side a little more and I would get there, but we were trained that way. And the thing Vance did was he put us in those positions in practice. So he would, send us to the board. He would draw up potential scenarios, potential danger, and then he would let your natural talent take over. And now you had to make a play. And when I was in the NFL, Willie Shaw, David Shaw, head coach at Stanford, his father, he came up with a term called stealing second base. And that's what Vance was talking about. That backside safety. If you think about a pitcher, when a pitcher's looking down at the batter, and when you see somebody stealing second base, you can't see that guy running if you're a right-handed pitcher. Well, most quarterbacks who are looking one direction, they never see the backside guy. That's how Ed Reed made his money. He stole second base. And so if Michigan can do that, if they play quarters or whatever type of too high they're in, if they can find a way to protect their linebackers and steal second base after they do their responsibility, then I think they'll have a chance if they run quarters or something close to that to try to. I always thought Vance invented combo coverage because I had never heard nobody else say it. And I coached at 3 different colleges, and every time I brought it up, they instilled it. They couldn't coach it, but they liked the concept. And we gave up a lot of touchdowns because they would because they wouldn't let me install it. I said, hey, man, we got this little, 21, 11. But Vance simplified it, though. If Vance would say, if you can count to 3, you can play for me. And it was like, well, if you can't count to 3, because he was big on counting receivers. And he'd tell you, if you couldn't count to 3, we had some guys that couldn't count to 3. That's the truth.
Hey, Sam knows the kind of guys like grape Gatorade. Still standing there.
Hey, Vance hated if you was killing grass and covering air. He called you an iron deer standing on the lawn like a statue because guys just, would freak out. And we were just like, and then we would hold each other accountable. And I don't know if that's happening in Ann Arbor right now, but if you made a mistake, if you had a missed assignment, a mental error, the players held each other accountable. Like we would tell Vance to rewind the tape. Nah, coach, go back because Charles wasn't lined up right, or Marcus Ray or Tommy Hendricks wasn't in the middle of the field. I don't trust the guy. And that's the level of excellence we've raised it to, which is why we had 23 interceptions in 11 games.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that's kind of my point, though, in saying that you're dealing with a defense, and here we're talking about a secondary that is running a concept that is foreign to them at the beginning of the season. Now, I understand Vance will say, hey, but they've been running it the whole season. They've been running it the whole season. I know that's about to come out of his mouth right now. I know.
Yes, it is.
But this, to me, is all growing to this point that they started at a foundation or laying the foundation at the beginning of the season. So now maybe they'll be equipped to do some of the things that you're talking about, Vance. I want you to sort of game plan this defense for me in this game. You've watched, I think I sent you 4 or 5 of the games that I thought challenged that challenged its defenses the most. When you watch that, sort of give me your forecast. How would you attack them defensively heading into this game?
I'm watching the game that reminds me of Michigan's defense is Kentucky. They play some bear, they play some odd defense, and they play, I call strong eagle. They slide the front to the tight end, and they blitz quite a bit. So in that particular game, I saw a lot of bunch, a lot of trade, and I saw a lot of gap scheme plays. In other words, I'm pulling the tight end and the guard, the old counter OF. I'm running the pin pull play, pulling both guards, blocking down, which is giving us some problems. So if I'm game planning with you guys right now, if I'm in practice, the first 2 days, we're working on bunch formations. I'm running a base bunch formation. The plays are running out from the passing game to the run game. And I'm going through all my calls before I go to anything else. And the first thing I do, if you get in bunch, I'm going to blitz the bunch. If you trade the bunch, we're going to blitz the bunch. Marcus Ray, we playing somebody, we had a third and short, and we call it lightning, bring the safety off there. They traded the tight end, Marcus went to the other side, ran lightning, hit the guy in the backfield. So I'm going to blitz the bunch. I'm going to take them out of that because also they're in the toss sweep to the bunch. I want to attack that side because when the quarterback throws the football, guess where he throws the football to? That side a lot of times. So I am game plan. I want to get pressure. I'm going to come after them every which way but loose. I'm blitzing first down, second down, third down. 3 plays now. I'm coming back the next series. I'm blitzing first down, second down. Hope they get first down so I can blitz them about 3 more times. I want to set the tempo early to get after them, get in the backfield. I want to rattle that quarterback because on the outside, they are big receivers. Our corners should better cover these guys. We need to stop the run and stop that number 19. That tight end, I think, is a special player. So to me, if I'm playing any kind of man-to-man, guess what Dak's going to line up to that guy. Dak, your job this whole week, you need to take him out of the mix. If you can't take him out of the mix, it's a long day for us. So that first couple of days, I'm working strictly on bunch and motion from bunch to 2 by 2, the plays around of that. And I got all my pressures and my base calls. And then after that, now I'm going to the spread type of things. They like to get in 3 by 1 and throw it weak side to the X. So Marcus, remember this, anytime people did that to us, we had quarter, half. The corner to them to that single receiver side, he played a yard inside. You're not throwing no sign on me. Michigan doesn't do that. They line up and press, and the guy plays deep and get up the slant, but it's avoiding that. So again, going back, counting to 3, 1, 2, 3, we got to push the line back to the 3 receiver side. So now if I'm playing any kind of zone, that corner is playing inside technique to take away that void. And also he's a run support guy, so I'll take away the X. I'm matching up front side. I'm going to make that quarterback hold the football. So now Thanksgiving happened, Christmas happened. Now it's New Year's Eve, baby. I'm talking about oxtails. I'm going to the brother fold. I'm oxtails, chillers. Hey, David, Ojabo, Aiden, you know anything about chillers? I got cornbread and hot sauce, brother. Let's go get this quarterback. But those are things I'm going to do. I got to work on bunch. I got to work on tandem splits. Those are issues we had all year long. I got to work on the pin pull and the counter play, spilling the football, because the backs are downhill runners. They don't want to go inside. They put a foot in the ground and they get vertical. Take away the vertical seams, make them run east and west. We have small linebackers, so now they can run to the ball. They 2 offensive tackles are big guys. So they already go max protect a lot in the pass game. They go full slide protection sometimes and have the back block off the edge because the 19, they want him out in the route. They don't want him to protect because he's actually their best receiver. I'm not going to let my best receiver block somebody. I'm going to make you have to cover him. And so they go max protect. They slide the whole offensive line. They're going to slide to Aiden. So guess what, David Ojabo? Brother, it's time to eat. We need 3 sacks out of you in this ball game. We get 3 sacks and the cause fumble. We won the ball game. So I'm putting all my marbles on David Ojabo. He got to put on the big boy pads, take on the counter now, Sam. I told you he's been a weakness in the run defense. The last game now, he took the count on. He looked like a ball player. He looked like a Michigan man. And Lloyd Carter should tell our guys this all the time. I want you to look back and look at the number you are wearing right now. You are representing a history of the past 100 years of a guy who wore that particular number. It's not just about yourself. And that's what Michigan is all about. It's about that history and that tradition of who you're representing. Now, I forgot to bring my national championship hat out because remember last time Ohio State, what had I brought out? I had Big Ten championship. I called it before it happened.
Hold on, let me get mine, Coach.
Now go get yours. See, I'm just telling you, I called it before it happened. We're going to beat Georgia. I'm going to let you know that right now. We're going to beat Georgia, but we're going to have to throw the football up with him because that guy, a garbage man at Noah's guard at 250 pounds. He got something in his trunk right now. You can't move him out the way. We're running football team. We got to get on the edge, throw the football, run outside. And I forgot this also, Sam. West Coast offenses run boots and naked. Because their offense is so big, they do the old duck walk. In other words, they just turn and run. And we've been great on the boots all year long for our defensive ends. Get up the field, get in the quarterback's face, give us pressure. And that's the ball game right there, man.
Yeah, man. It's funny you talk about David Ojabo got to eat, and I thought about you when I saw their starting defensive package against Iowa. David Ojabo wasn't a part of it. And you remember they had 32. They had Jalen Harrell out there, and now David Ojabo came up big in that first half. It was a 3rd down play, and you remember he shed the tackle, made the play in the backfield.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's what Vance was talking about right there. So he. I think, and they have to have some confidence in him coming off of that game, especially because Iowa, that's all they was trying to do was run it, was trying to get downhill on Michigan and really try to run at him, and they couldn't do it. So it's going to be interesting to see the matchup that you talked about. Dax versus number 19. Of everything that you talked about, if we break it down to a matchup, because we talked about their center or Michigan center, or the interior line versus Jordan Davis. So you talking about 6'6", 350 pounds? Like, you don't want to single block that dude. That's a big matchup in this game, how you deal with him. When it comes to the defense, how you deal with number 19, Vance, to me, is the game. And you're saying that's assignment Dax Hill.
But hold on, Coach. One of the things Vance used to do, though, Sam, is we would have a call, zone whoever, number such and such. And we would put Charles. It's almost like essentially a box and one.
Box and one, yes.
Yeah, like Vance would run cover 2 with everybody else. So like that 5th rusher, instead of blitzing him, we would put him in man. That means if we're still playing some type of 2 or trap 2 or whatever, we had guys all over the field. So that guy had help everywhere, but we wasn't going to let that one guy beat us. So if he lined up in the slot, we played man, and then we just played cover 2. If he was on the outside, then we rolled that corner, and that guy was in man, and we might have played cover 2 or cover 3 or whatever it was. But Vance and those guys always had a strategy for that one guy that could beat us. The other thing that they used to do in 97 was they would make up a defense that week that was designed to stop that team. Like, so Vance would say, these guys come out in 5 formations, and this is their number 1 play, and we would have automatics. So, but he trained us as students of the game, in particular me. He knew that I could make the check. So if they came out in bunch, if we wanted to be in a particular defense, that was in the automatic package. Because as a coordinator, if you call something, you stuck with that. But if you call automatic, now whatever they come out in, you're in what you're going to be in, but you got to have the guys that can get you lined up and execute it. So we played Northwestern. We had Wildcat automatic. I mean, whoever we played, Vance and those guys knew where the ball was going. They just wanted to be in the right call versus that formation. And if Michigan could somehow do something like that, I don't know if they zone 19 or whatever they got going on, combo 21. But if they got an automatic check and they can get into what they want to be in versus every formation Georgia has, it's going to be a long day.
Yeah, I'm listening to you break it down, and it's taking me back to some conversation. I mean, Vance was coaching the whole. These sessions were really like it being in the film room. Daniel Horton hit me on that. He said, "Hey, man," he said, "Vance talks to these fans just like he talks to his players in the film room." He said, "It ain't no different." He said, "I'm telling you." He said, "They might be getting all sensitive talking about the fans about how he's talking about this player or that player." He said the players aren't getting sensitive about it because that's how he talked. I'm guarantee you that's how he talked to the players in the film room.
And matter of fact, you understand, and Coach, like, listen, people don't understand. I wasn't football smart. Like, I was a C-ball, get ball, city league, Columbus run and hit, but I couldn't get lined up my freshman year. Like, Vance will teach you football. Like, Sam, you know how I make it simple, whether I can draw it up on the radio or I got that from Vance. I never walked in there in the media and walked like I was the smartest guy because it was just me. No. Like, and I'm going to say this. I'm going to let you get the mic, Coach. Vance is Master Splinter. We were the Teenage Mutant Negro Turtles. The Negro Turtles. And I'm done. Coach, you can go ahead, man.
When I watch these guys on offense, you need to pressure these guys. You really do. If you're going to sit back and think you're going to play vanilla, you're going to be in trouble because they're going to give us a lot of formations. And I've seen quads empty. Okay. How do you adjust? You got to have answers for that. That's been another problem for us early in the year, if you remember. So every formation that they run, they're going to have a game plan. So within the first 3 series of Georgia's offense, you're going to know what they're going to be doing the rest of the ball game formation-wise. So therefore, the guy in the press box, he has time to draw it up, talk about it. But that's what I should do to Herman and Madison. And that's what we're going to see the rest of the ball game, guys. They showed us their hand in the first 3 series, so now let's go play football. These are the calls that should work for us right here. And to me, is that we got to pressure these guys because they are big. The tackles, they are unathletic. They big, they can hold you, and we are a great movement team. So if you move on these guys, they become less aggressive because now they would think about our first call. We should run this defense called bench chuckles bolts. In other words, we're in 3/4 of the field, we angling back to the boundary. And I said this earlier in the year, Sam, this is one of his top calls. They bring in the nickel off the edge or the Sam off the edge, but guess what? Every time I see bunch formations, if I saw it 10 times, 8 times, that's the call they finna get. I'm bringing off the edge. So I'm going to disrupt the run game to that side. I'm going to disrupt the pass game to this side. I'm going to walk somebody up on number 19 because he's on the point and bunch. Before you rush, you're going to rush through him so he can't get off the line of scrimmage to get down the football field. I'm going to take him out of the mix. But again, that's why I told you, if I'm game planning these guys the first 2 days, it's bunch formation. All my calls to work on that when throwing in a few quad formation unbalance. How do we check? Stop the run in this situation, that type of thing. So I'm ready to roll. Like Marcus said, you asked this question earlier. We had time off getting ready for the Rose Bowl. What time off? As coaches, we had no time off. We game planned. The players, they were hungry. They took no time off. You spent their time getting ready. Why? Because we wanted to win that ball game. So if you're taking time off, you don't want to win. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You don't take time off when you have once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, especially for the seniors. This is it right here. We want this game to play for the big boys.
How did Charles balance? Because you know that he's traveling for Heisman, national awards. How did he balance that with the preparation for the game? Because that's what Aiden has had to do.
But you know what? He did all those things. I went to the Thorpe Award with him. I was down in Orlando to the awards thing right there because we were in the middle of recruiting. So even at that time, the guys are working out on their own because you are focused on the task at hand. And when they came back, meant to go to work as a staff and as players, it was like we never missed a beat. Because you're in the middle of recruiting, we got recruiting weekends, with all type of things going on. But that team was focused because people say we couldn't do it. If you remember the season started off, we might have been somewhere around 16 or 17 of the nation. People gave us no thought at all. Offense got no quarterback, the defense is average. They got just made 8 player. Well, we read that crap. I'm still pissed off those people said that. And so as a coach, I was pissed off because of what they were saying. And 95 and 96, we were 2 plays away from winning the Big Ten championship. That's how close we were. And then now we got A-Train running behind that offensive line. We got defensive guys up front. You think about that defense, Marcus. I think 9 guys off of that 97 defense played time in the National Football League. Think about that. Now, I see some of the same things with that defense right now. Aiden's going to be a first-round pick. I think Dax is going to be somewhere probably early in the second round. I mean, so they got some guys going to be draft picks. And that's why I said, even though it's younger with the staff and younger players, defensively, the scheme-wise, I see a lot of what we did, that attitude. I see those guys getting better each week. By game 4, it was like a veteran football team. The mistakes they made in the first 2 ball games, I didn't see those mistakes anymore. I saw a veteran football team, an aggressive football team, and they believe. And that's all that matters. If I believe in my teammate, like Marcus was talking about, I'm not worried about I got to cover up for him. He's going to do his job. That enables me to maybe every once in a while within the scheme of defense to freelance. So when they do run, they quarter, half, or they roll either strong or weak, the quarter's safety now. When this quarterback will lock on. Now, Marcus, this quarterback will look at you like the Statue of Liberty. So I'm going to throw it right there. Just break if you want to. That's what he does. So
you're talking about Georgia's quarterback, Stetson Bennett.
Yes, I'm looking at the video. I'm like, come on, baby, break. So if he's going to do that, Statue of Liberty, like 1,001, 3, 4, 5, 3, come on. We don't stack them. If the backside section don't pick the ball off, I'm going to be highly upset. I got my plastic football. My TV might fall off the wall on me so bad. Because he's sitting there like he's killing grass. I'm going to be pissed off. I don't say who got that guy. Me and Keith Sweat going to start saying nobody. That's nobody.
No, but I'll tell you though. Charles was my roommate in '97, and right after, let's say the Ohio State game, we had Thanksgiving. He was on a little honeymoon. He had a lot of awards and places he was going. But Charles, whenever he was in town, he would work out, and then, believe it or not, I would bring film home and catch him up to speed on some of the stuff Vance was talking about or implementing, and so he never was out of the loop. But he worked out on the road. Charles told me he was on treadmills. He was doing little machines in them hotels. And I was at the Heisman with him when he won. He stayed. I had to come back. And then he stayed for like the Dow Jones ring the bell or whatever they was doing. And he worked out then. So he never took any time off, even with all the stuff he had doing. And I think that's what Aiden was probably doing too. He's a workout warrior. Mm-hmm. So a guy that wants to win is not going to sacrifice or compromise the big goal for the small goal. Yeah, you won your award, you're up for this and that, but we still got a game in 2-3 weeks that we need you to be special in. So Charles was never quite out of the loop. But like I said, with us being roommates, I could communicate anything he needed to know or missed. But once we got out to California, everybody was locked in. Even being in LA we was out there for almost 2 weeks, man.
2 weeks,
we was about 2 weeks. Yeah. And we had switched hotels, and I think the staff and Lloyd, man, he's a great leader. So he was very strategic on how much time we spent in certain places and doing what. But man, by the time we got to the Rose Bowl, they had defenses that they didn't even call because we were dealing with empty for the first time. Really, somebody that can line up in it every time, and they wanted different blitzes, and they were copying Arizona State's package. Remember that, Coach, when Fright Night and those guys beat Arizona State? Beat Washington State. So the coaches never took a day off, and the players, we just followed suit. We worked out, we watched film, we had bowl conditioning. Charles was the only guy missing, but when he came home, I always caught him up to speed, and he'll tell you that himself. Like, we lived together, and that's my man. So I need him to be great, but we had so much ready for Washington State, that it didn't. Whatever we needed to go to, we could, and I think hopefully Michigan should have that too. When you talk about that bunch. 19, because once an offense find out something you don't like, you're gonna get a heavy dosage of it. A heavy dose, you know what I'm saying? But if they're prepared and take away what they want to do, now they're on their heels scrambling, trying to say we got to come up with something because we can't block, Aiden, Ojabo, Dax is taking 19 out the game. Now you're dictating the flow, and that's what I want to see Michigan do defensively is bring the fight to Georgia and just don't stand back and be vanilla and take it and like it.
So two questions for you, Vance, on our way out. Was there anything that you saw in their run game that stuck out to you or that you saw as problematic based on some of the issues that you saw Michigan have at times defending the run? And then I want you to get deeper into the scout of their quarterback, Stetson Bennett, former walk-on. They thought that he was going to take a back seat to JT Daniels. JT Daniels, the transfer from USC, he started games out there, hit the portal, grew up a Michigan fan. Michigan looked at him as a potential transfer to Michigan, but he saw a quicker path to the field down there at Georgia. He gets hurt, Vance, and when he comes off an injury, they kept him on the bench and stayed with the walk-on. So what did you see in Stetson Bennett? Give me the scouting report on him. Because it sounds like, the biggest thing that you see is he will stare down a target. But first, the run game, and what did you see there that stuck out as maybe Michigan needs to be on the lookout for? And then tell me about their quarterback, him specifically.
Number one is that they run an inside zone. Off that, they run a zone reading RPO. And they like to double guys. If you don't move the front and say, here I am, blockers, they will double you with those big guys and climb to the linebackers. I think we do enough that we can take away that because the back is a downhill runner. The second thing they're going to go to is the counters or the pin pull play to see how you handle pullers. And if we handle those things early, we can get them out of those things because the backs are physical. They downhill runners. They make one cut. They don't do a lot of dancing now. Now, when number 3 comes in, that other back, get ready. He's a gadget play guy. He's a screen guy. Send him out of the backfield. He can fly. He's a guy that can make you miss. I think he's a special talent. Now, let's get to the quarterback. The quarterback, he doesn't beat Georgia. He doesn't throw it to the other team. He doesn't fumble the football. He's more athletic than what you think he is. I saw him run a few zone read plays, keep the football, and he outran the defensive end. I was shocked. And then I saw him on some boots and nakeds. He can turn up. He can make a guy miss and go for 15 yards. So we need to do a great job of containing him. We got to force him to make mistakes. Because the guy in the press box, he's doing one thing. When they run the zone replay, they're watching the defensive end. Who has a quarterback? Who has a quarterback? Now in the second quarter, they're going to come back and run that play. And he's going to pull it. And we don't have a guy who takes him every single time. He can go 15, 20 yards. The guy's faster than what you think he is. And again, in the passing game, I don't think he's anything special. He'll throw some jump balls. They have big receivers. But everything is designed for number 19. The throwback screen, the throwback wheel route. They try to hide the guys in different spots. And so that's his safety valve guy. And, good quarterbacks, guess what they want to have at the tight end? A heck of a football player. That's who they have right now. So if I'm playing us, Sam, guess what I'm going to do to Aiden? I'm going to put bunch to his side. I'm putting bunch formation to his side. I'm going to run the ball at him. I'm going to throw the football because now when you're in bunch formation at Aiden, you got to decide where do you align him. Does you align him between 1 and 3? Does he go vertical? Does he go through the bunch? And now if I got a zone pressure on, if they're coming from the boundary, does he still drop? Does he play run? But if I'm attacking Michigan's defense, you're going to see bunch formation on Aiden because I'm going to slow him down that way. Then in the bunch formation, I'm going to motion back to 2x2, and I'm going to run my counter OF the other way to keep it off balance. And those are things I would do to slow down Aiden. I would have a game plan for him. He wouldn't beat me. I'm going to give him something else to look at, a bunch formation most of the game, or I'm going to play, we used to call it Detroit, but you got 12 personnel, 2 tight ends to his side, the wide receivers away. He has to fight through an offensive guard or tackle and 2 tight ends to rush the passer. And again, I'm running a counter right at him. I'm going to double team him to the linebackers, kick out, turn up. I'm going to try to get him a little linebacker and see what happens. So my game plan is to take Aiden out of the game or put him formation to Aiden to see what he's going to do, to see how Michigan's defensive coordinator is going to adjust.
And that's Coach, you talking about that tight end bunch, like what's closer to the defensive end?
Yeah, 12 personnel, probably 60 to 65% of the time, Marcus. And so you do that to run the football, and you do it for protection. So they had 7-man protection most of the time. Normally, they send out only 3 guys, number 19 and the 2 wideouts. The second tight end, he's blocking most of the time. They have max protect. So they have an answer right now. They think for pass rush, that means David Ojabo, he's 1-on-1. He's a guy that's got to win for you, or one of the guys inside has to win for you. And if we line up in 3-4 like Arkansas did, man, we're going to be in trouble. They schemed Arkansas 3 defense. They got the defensive end, Marcus, off the line of scrimmage. And while they inserted him and ran the ISO play, they turned out, doubled the nose. He ISO on linebacker. They never stopped it. So you line up a 3-4 defense and say, here I am. Well, they're going to say, okay, let's go to Vegas. I'm playing roulette, and everything is black. I can't lose. I can't lose. So if you get up there and you be like the Statue of Liberty, which hopefully we're not going to do, then we'll be in trouble. But I think we'll come and blitz them early. And I think our corners got to handle the receivers. And Marcus will tell you, I always felt, you hit a big play on me, I didn't care. That means the next play I'm coming after you again, because they call it momentum. It's going to happen in the ball game. So you can't worry about that. If you get behind, you got to worry about how to get momentum back. And you get it back by playing great defense, by being aggressive, and you live with what happens to you and don't worry about it. And so far this year, that's what I've seen out of Mike.
All right. But Vance had a motto real quick, Sam. Life goes on. In real life and in football life. Like that big play he talking about, ain't no time to be worried about, life goes on. Or, I got in trouble a couple of times, man. He's like, well, life goes on. But I can stamp everything he said because I played for him and we had success together. And he made me the player that I was. He took my skills, but he gave me life advice with football, and life goes on. Big play, bad play, whatever, keep going. And I think that's what he was alluding to.
So, Marcus, because I'm going to ask you now, both of your predictions. I know what Vance going to say already, but I'm going to need a score, Vance. So kind of get that together in your head, what you think the score is going to be. Marcus, give me your forecast for the game. How do you think it's going to play out? I don't know if you're ready to tell people what you're working on. If you are, go ahead and sort of give them a preview.
Well, I'm gonna be at the Orange Bowl, and I'm excited. You know, me and my wife will be down there. It's gonna be popping. Um, I had mixed feelings. Um, I think Michigan wins a close one. I really think Michigan's going to figure it out. I think Josh Gaddis is going to expose the closest defense to 97 that I've seen, and that's Georgia 2021. So, I think we had our weaknesses too, but you just got to get to them. I think Michigan wins 27 to about 21, 27-21. But I think Georgia is going to be up early. I think they're going to be up early 13-6 or something like that. And then Michigan will figure it out. Um, but and then as far as me personally, man, Hitman and Heisman is coming out soon. Me and Vance been talking about it. You know, he was a little hesitant with me at first. Charles stamped it, and it's coming out. It's a great story. It's about my college career. It's about my relationships and the life lessons I learned from Lloyd, from Vance, being Charles's, roommate and best friend for 3 years. And I finally realized I had my best 3 years when he was there. When he wasn't there, I got in trouble my freshman year before he was there, and I got in trouble my senior year when he left. So you can blame Charles for not sticking around to carry his buddy. You know what I mean? But no, it's a great read. And I'm gonna go on a book tour. I'm gonna be speaking at the colleges, and we're putting it together now. So I'm shooting for August. I'm shooting for an August release for the 22 season. It's gonna be a great read. Vance, you'll get a copy. Sam, you guys get the first read. Charles will get the first read. So that's it, man. I'm just working and just doing these games and raising my sons. And I got an 11th grader being recruited. And recruiting is different, Sam. It's about measure. It's the combine. You got to run a 4.4 at 16 to get looked at. I'm like, I wouldn't have got recruited in high school.
No, we came out to see you. We came out to see the next number 29 now. Come on now.
Now, he can play, Sam. He can play.
Yeah,
he can play. And you know what? And remember when I came up there, I was doing the Eastern Michigan game, and I stopped by the tent. It was homecoming or something. I don't remember. But I had to do an Eastern game a little later. And I said, if Michigan offers Malik Ray, he's going to take it. Like he would, like Brady Hope said, he would crawl from San Diego. Is Michigan, for God's sakes. My son, if Jim Harbaugh, and he can play, this ain't no used car salesman. And I talked to Greg Madison. Me and Madison tight, man. He recruited me. So regardless what people think about Greg and whatever he's done or haven't done, he's been a personal friend of mine, professionally and personally. I sent him that huddle tape. He said he's you all over, but he's better than you. And he's like, and I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna make some calls. I think he's a Big Ten West kind of guy, more Northwestern-ish, Minnesota. I don't really care. I just don't want to pay for it, Sam. You see, I got a little mortgage, a little home office. I got Charles in the background over there. He got all the money, so I can't afford for my son. I don't care if we go to OU. I just don't want to pay for it. But if he ends up at Michigan, I think it'll be sweet. So 2022 for me is my book, losing more weight, and putting my son in school and focusing on my family. And that's it. And last thing I'll say is I spent a lot of good time with Vance in Canton and Las Vegas. And I really like where our relationship is. I don't know if he truly – Vance is a very humble guy. I think he knows he's the guru, but he don't want no credit. And he's affected a lot of us, like from me to Charles to Joe Hayden to everybody else he's ever coached. If you really talk bad about Vance, you probably don't like yourself. And give his wife Maggie a lot of credit.
About Vance. Who talk bad about Vance?
And if you don't, and look, give a lot of credit to Maggie too, man, because she done held this brother down for years. He's a lousy human being, but he's a good dude. You know what I'm saying? He's a good dude. But Michigan fans, if y'all liked what I was talking about when I was on the radio and doing my thing, y'all now getting it from the real source, and y'all getting it in like on that other level. So. Take notes, take heed, and believe. Sam, and you know good and well. I don't give it up to nobody except Vance.
Hey, man, I've been getting back. Hey, you going to have Vance back on? You going to have Vance back? The man got a life. He can't come on every day. But, all right, so Vance, I know you said Michigan going to win. How are they going to win? What's the score going to be?
We gotta score points in the passing game. We're going to win 31-20. It's going to come down to a field goal. For us to win, we need to score points. You score points, you get Georgia having to throw the football, number one. Number two, they change their defense. The weaknesses of Georgia's defense is going vertical. Guess what Alabama did right away? They went vertical over and over and over again. They didn't sit there and try to run on those guys. So we're going to throw it. Now you got to play coverage. The box don't get lighter. Now you can run the football. And so we can't be stubborn on offense. Defensively, they're going to hit some plays. They're good enough. But I think we're going to make enough plays. We'll get two turnovers in this ball game. And that's going to be the difference. In the fourth quarter, we're going to come up with a big stop, whether it be an interception or a fourth down stop. To win this ball game, we're going to 4-minute offense and win it 31-28. I really believe that. And so Gaddis, he is what? Coach of the year. Now it's time to be coach of the year. Show people why you got that award. You got to do some different things offensively. Mike gonna do his thing. We bring it, like I said, we getting it coming off the bus, we blitzing. The game hadn't started yet. We throwing our tools at them. We throwing wrenches at them. We walk into the stadium, now we throwing the sink. The game hadn't started yet. Now the game started, here come the kitchen tub, here come the water heater. It's all coming up, baby. We're not holding nothing back. We're not leaving anything back in Ann Arbor. We bring it all with us. And that's why I think it's going to come down to a field goal. We'll win 31-28. I really do. And I appreciate all the things Marcus said, but you know what I found out about coaching? It's not about the coach himself. It's about the people around you. It's about finding a way to get the best out of them, because in return, you know what they do to you? They get the best out of you. It's called a relationship, and it's called a two-way street. And it's called trust. And every place I've been, I tried to build that trust with my players. That I'm going to treat you as a man and respect you as a man, do the same to me and the people around you. And now we can grow and get better together, because like my high school coach told me, he said, one day, Vance, when this is over with, all the wins and the district championships, it won't buy you a hamburger. You got to go make a living for you. So football is a little bit of life. You learn some hard lessons about the game. And I think if you can do that, you're going to grow. You have a chance. You're going to have some ups and downs in life. But eventually, you're going to find a way to overcome those things, and you will be successful. I think Marcus, he's proved that all the time. Andre Weathers. I never talk about guys in the NFL like Woodson, okay? He's a different guy. I look at all the other guys. I look at a James Hall who's done extremely well, and a Chris Singletary who's done extremely well. The list goes on and on and on. And to me, that's what's important to me. The guys get those degrees. They have a great family. And they have success in the real world. When I can look 15 years back, I'm like, man, I'm glad I was a small part of who they became. And that's what it's all about. I mean, always has been.
Yeah. Well, fellas, I appreciate you lacing me and lacing the fans with some knowledge, and from your lips. I mean, hell, Vance, you've been prophetic all season long. So no reason to stop now, right? I think it's gonna play out exactly how you said, and looking forward to breaking down the film next week. And hopefully we'll be talking about Michigan in the national championship game. Either one of you guys give Cincinnati a shot against Bama?
No, I don't.
Nobody does, but you know what? When they went to Notre Dame in South Bend, which is a hard place to win, and they beat them. You look at a year ago, Clemson went in there when they were number one in the country and couldn't beat them. So here's a Cincinnati team who should have lost that game by 3 touchdowns. They found a way to beat them. And if Alabama just gonna come out, well, we bigger, we more athletic, they'll lose that ball game being overconfident, looking for, are we going to get to the national championship game? That's how you lose a game that way. So I think Cincinnati has a chance. If they get it to the fourth quarter, that quarterback for Cincinnati is a baller. He'll give them a chance to win. Now, if they get behind early where they can tee off and do things defensively, they don't have a chance. But they get to the fourth quarter, Cincinnati will win the ball game if it's close.
Well, I just think, like, when I watched Georgia and Cincinnati last year, bowl games are always hard to judge a team because guys don't play. Some guys aren't playing hard. But Cincinnati could have shut the door on this Georgia thing a year ago. They have 21-10 in the fourth quarter, and I'm rooting for Cincinnati. And I'm kind of like, wow, Cincinnati's in the game. And they end up giving up the ghost late. And I just feel like, going against the grain of what Van said, if it does get to the fourth quarter, it wouldn't surprise me if Cincinnati chokes because they just can't get over the hump. But if Bama can out-athlete them or Cincinnati can't block them, but that quarterback's a problem for Cincinnati, straight up. But Bama, what they did to Georgia, I think Bama is just, they got that elixir that don't nobody really like, and you don't want to taste it. But it's like, if Cincinnati fight them back, or that ball bounce a little weird, a couple turnovers, a punt return, a pick six, something weird, I don't know if Bama has a real chin, though. And I think Cincinnati's going to test that chin to see whoever makes it or plays next, Bama going to have to earn it if they can't get the chin tested successfully.
See, Cincinnati is a passing team. I'm not saying, but Alabama is a passing team. They go empty. They put all the pressure on that quarterback. Cincinnati has 2-6-2 corners.
Yeah,
they can match up.
They legit too.
They draft picks. They can match up. That's what I'm saying. If it's close at the end, he does enough things defensively, pressure-wise, scheme-wise, and he has couple guys outside. The Heisman Trophy winner, he better show up. If he's still back in New York City with the Heisman Trophy, they in trouble. I'm just letting you know. That's all I got to tell you.
Well, so I think we love the forecast. Hey, Cincinnati, Bama, Michigan just want to be there, and I think they will be. You fellas do too. Be on the lookout for Hitman and Heisman. When you release it, Marcus, got to come through so we could do the whole interview and excerpt and all of that. And with Vance, I mean, we still got some breakdowns to do this season. And after that, we got to get that Sweet Baby Ray's deal, man. We got to get that Sweet Baby Ray's deal for Vance. We got to get him on. We got to get him in the background singers for Keith Sweat, because I know you know Make It Last and The Right and the Wrong Way to Love Somebody. You know all those songs. You can fill it in. So yeah, so Keith, come on. We got the man right here. Keith, I know you.
That's right.
All right, fellas, we appreciate it. And appreciate all of you checking us out here on the Michigan Football Breakdown, focused on the defense, Vance Bedford and Marcus Ray.
Go Blue.